It's not actually compulsory to have both sides having exactly the same number of stitches in double knitting. In the basket, I actually wanted these pockets to project further out on the outside when I was finished. So at the start of each of the outer columns, I've actually used a 3 stitches become 1 increase here. And so I have 2 stitches more on my outside fabric than I have on my inside fabric. Let's take a quick look at how to make that 1 stitch becomes 3 increase. So I've worked along in my double fabric. My red is my front colour at this point, and I've decided I want to make an increase into this next stitch. So into this stitch I knit once, but don't let the stitch go. Twist the needle back again and make a yarn over on the needle again. Then pop the needle back into the front of the stitch and knit one more time. So I've done a knit, a yarn over and a knit all into that 1 stitch. And if we were to take this off the needle and have a look at this increase, it actually almost has rabbit ears. So that's the knit portion, the second knit. That's the yarn over, and that's the knit. And if I release that, we've really just made the yarn undulate. So there's your first knit stitch, there's your yarn over, and there's your second knit stitch. And this is a beautiful symmetrical increase, and when it's worked on the following row it just spreads out like this. So for the sake of completeness, let's just show it again. If the colour I was using was in my right hand, again tuck the needle in, knit, yarn over, and knit again into the front of the stitch, and that's your increase made. And in the case of our double knit pattern, we're only making that increase on the front layer of the fabric. So this is how we get our dissimilar number of stitches on the 2 sides. Front back, 3 front ones, 1 back one, front back. All I have to do to compensate for that when I'm working is to be very alert. So this is a front layer stitch, a knit, a back layer stitch, a purl, keeping my front layer stitch in front of my yarn, and I've been using alternative purls on this particular project, so my stitches are mounted slightly strangely. And now I'm into the next section. So here's a front layer stitch, here's a back layer stitch, front, back. So everything's entirely normal until I get to this point here where I've got 3 front layer stitches side by side. So I just make sure I work all 3 of those in succession and then go back to double knitting on the other side. And I want to make sure, because I want the inner layer to be tighter, not to leave a big float at the back of that. There's a slight gap, but when it's felted it will all settle down. So in this manner I've got 2 extra stitches on my outer fabric than I have on the inside fabric. You've got to be alert, you've got to watch out for it, but it's entirely possible to do this.